Welcome back to Worldview. Now, for the last 11 days, we've watched a drama unfold here in the United Kingdom that's also gone global, as our good friend Carolyn Criado Perez, founder of the womensroom.org.uk, was very successful in a campaign to get Jane Austen added to the back of the UK £10 note. And she, along with a female MP, Member of Parliament, was subjected to rape threats online via Twitter. That led to 2 arrests and an unprecedented apology from the social media services United Kingdom head. And with it came a promise to become more transparent and diligent in dealing with threat complaints, and they will install a report abuse button on Twitter. Joining us tonight on the program from Minneapolis is someone I wanted to talk to about how something like this would work to protect people from all kinds of threats and whether or not he thinks it's even possible in such a highly automated and algorithmic Twitter world. Now, Dave Larson's one of the first people I started following on Twitter back in 2008. His @TweetSmarter account and webpage, plus his status as a leader in all things Twitter, is legend, as the 360,000 people who follow his advice will tell. He and his wife Sarah are the only couple I can consider to be expert in a field of crowded wannabes. Now, Dave has had technical difficulties all week, but to show everyone how adept the social media communications world is, he joins us this evening via Skype on a mobile telephone. Dave Larson, welcome to Worldview.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
Well, this is a real treat for me because I've been a huge fan for some time. I mean, I really loved all the infographics and everything that you and Sarah put together, and the way you've really helped so many people. So you're to be commended before we get off too far here.
We love doing it.
Oh, that's great. Now, while everybody wanted to talk with my pal Caroline, and indeed she's been deluged, she was too busy to even join us, you were the real catch in this story. Your Twitter advice has helped me target and grow my 7 accounts, and you bring common sense to the table, and that makes the complex simple. So I have to ask you, how can Twitter live up to the promise it's just made?
Well, I would say 2 words. Del Harvey, Twitter's Senior Director of Trust and Safety. She's one of the longest time employees of Twitter right now. I don't actually have the stat. She could be the longest time current, still active employee. When she was brought on by the original co-founders, she had to educate them that there would be spam and it would be difficult to deal with. And she's been educating Twitter ever since on how to do right by their users and how to keep the Twitter service safe and secure. She spent a lot of her own time helping people. She's at Delbius on Twitter. She's one of the big forces behind this initiative, bringing in more people, and somebody I personally have a lot of confidence in. So while Twitter is doing a lot of great things as a company, I personally know that with Del Harvey working behind the scenes on this, that it's got a real person that really cares and really wants to make this work.
Now, give us an idea of scale here, Dave. How big is Twitter today, and across how many countries does it operate?
It's really in every country that will let it in and not block it from time to time, and even in countries where it is blocked, people work around it, such as occasional problems in the Mideast and China. It's hard to say how many people are actually on Twitter. As you pointed out, you have 7 accounts. I have more than 1 account. People start accounts and let them go. They're inactive. Twitter does try to estimate how many people are active. I don't put a lot of stock by that. We're looking to be into the hundreds of millions of active people soon, but right now I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere between 70 and 150 million actual people that are taking an interest in what's happening on Twitter, once a month.
You're talking a world of very complex algorithms, and I know some of them work spectacularly well. All I have to do is report somebody for spam. I mean, I think spammers don't last more than a few minutes online anymore. They've done a very good job of policing that. But now we're moving into an area where how do you define and draw the line between free speech and simply trading insults and crossing that line into the area of where, as I said, our friend Caroline has been threatened with rape. We've had other individuals here in the United Kingdom, particularly one gentleman who's autistic, who's done a lot of work on behalf of autism, who's been attacked. You've obviously mentioned this person, but how are they going to figure out where the line actually is and refine the service to protect these people?
Facebook, because of their very large growth, their importance in revolutions around the world, has kind of led the way a little bit for Twitter. They've dealt with some of these problems in advance. They haven't always done the right thing. They haven't always done something that's made people feel confident in their ability to make these decisions, but they've worked hard at it. Twitter is now entering the arena of more personal interaction with the clients of Twitter, and I have a lot of confidence actually in their ability to make the right decisions over time. I know that they're going to have some problems identifying who's doing what. People are going to, get together in groups and try to paint someone inappropriately, trying to use the abuse, mechanisms that Twitter's going to put in place inappropriately. Twitter, I think their biggest problem is going to be fast response on the most serious issues. If a lot of people abuse the abuse system, Twitter can be overwhelmed in how quickly they can respond. I think that's their biggest, most troubling problem is, can they respond quickly enough? We don't want to have something, take place in weeks. We don't want to have something overlooked that's very serious for many days. We're going to have to figure it out a little bit. I'm pretty confident with real people looking at the tweets and situation that they're going to do a pretty good job.
That's really, really good to hear. I mean, because one of the issues that came up was apparently, and this was from discussions and both reading, the saga of what Caroline and others went through, was that, an abuser would simply have the account shut down by Twitter and simply start up another account and still go about. And that's actually something I've experienced where, because of the nature of the politics and things that I write about, I'll have a troll all of a sudden reappear as something else or reappear as something else. Are they going to be able to trace such things as IP addresses and locales?
Twitter, you raise a very important point. Twitter already does work with governments and law enforcement around the world, and they've been a little limited in how quickly they can do something because they've limited what they can do in the past by policy to requests from government or law enforcement other than spam requests. Now that they're looking at abuse requests, what's really going to slow the abusers down is that law enforcement in their country is going to be able to get information on them. And as we've seen, when abusers are unmasked, they're often apologetic, very, let's say, immature in many ways, and not that much of a threat. Anonymity is their real tool, is the real threat that they hide behind. Twitter's going to unmask that pretty easily and quickly and share that appropriately. And there's always going to be a few people who are going to try very hard to create multiple accounts, and it's hard to stop that, but making it hard for them to do more than throw out a tweet or two at a time and making them mostly unmaskable, I think is going to cut down, somewhere 80–90% of the problem very solidly.
Well, this is fabulous news, and Dave, this is precisely why you were the person I wanted to talk to when we started hearing about what Twitter had planned, and we really wanted to be able to reassure folks that watch this program how it would actually happen. I want to thank you for taking some time this evening to join us here on the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Dennis.
His name is Dave Larson, and he runs a Twitter page called @TweetSmarter. If you're not one of the 360,000 following him, you'd better be. He really gives us valuable information, and he helps us each step along the way. And even I've learned something here tonight, which I knew I would. You're watching Worldview with Dennis Campbell. Stay right here.